this first. Amazing. Well, welcome everybody. It's so exciting to see you all here. I'm buzzing to be here, to be honest with you. Before we start, I'm just going to say a massive thank you to the wonderful Samantha Bullock, who I have the joy and privilege to call not only my friend, but my business partner too. This lady works harder than anyone I know, and these events do not happen by chance. So I just really wanted to highlight that, and thank you for having me and having all of us here. It's a wonderful, amazing venue, and super excited to get started. So welcome to the first ever Inclusive Circle, where inclusion isn't just a goal, but a reality that we build together. Inclusive Circle is an empowering initiative by Bullock Inclusion, designed to create a safe and supportive space for people with disabilities to connect, share experiences, learn from one another, and I think actually have a bit of fun and enjoy each other's company as well. This project brings together individuals from diverse backgrounds to discuss key topics related to disability, health, well-being, and personal empowerment. Our mission is to foster inclusion, representation, and collaboration by providing a platform where voices are heard, challenges are addressed, and, most importantly, solutions are explored. Each session will feature expert speakers, like the ones to my right here, and community leaders offering valuable insights and practical strategies to help participants navigate life more confidently. Now, before we get started, we must, of course, thank our amazing sponsors, Kindred, this incredible facility that I am now modelling my house on, by the way. Thank you for having us. Open Style Lab, Taleto Gallo, Enable Rise, TRVLR UK, Mara de Ross from BSC, and all our supporters, Path to Success, Consort General of Brazil, Blue Badge Style, Singer Games, and obviously, of course, our amazing photographer, Marcelo. How lucky are we to have all those people on our side? So can we have a little bit of a round of applause for them? So, this first Inclusive Circle gathering focuses on a topic that I personally am incredibly passionate about, which is accessible travel. Of course, we've got our amazing panel, who I'm now going to introduce you to. Can I ask our panel to give us a little wave when I say your name, just so everyone knows who's who? That would be incredible. We're going to start with Jenny from Heathrow Airport, who we've had a lovely chat already tonight, haven't we? With over 20 years of experience in the airport industry, currently leads infrastructure initiatives at Heathrow Airport. A passionate advocate for accessibility and inclusion, Jenny speaks on systematic inclusion and played a key role in developing the RIBA Inclusive Design Overlay. As a governor for Harrow, Richmond and Uxbridge College, she champions equitable pathways for learners, ensuring opportunities for all, and I can guarantee that happens because from what I've heard already this evening, Jenny has dyslexia and ADHD and views her unique perspective as an asset, driving her mission to create environments where everyone has an equitable seat at the table. So, welcome to this evening. A round of applause. Next up, we've got Stephanie Sheehy. Yes. Welcome. Wonderful to have you here. Co-founder of Viaggio Travel, been trying to practice that, is a trailblazer in accessible and sustainable tourism, dedicating over 12 years to creating an inclusive Costa Rica. I'm going to book my flights at the end of this. That's fine. Okay, good. As a founder of the not-for-profit Costa Rica Tourism Accessible Network, she leads initiatives like adaptive clothing projects, recycled plastic infrastructure, and accessibility standards in tourism. A key player in shaping Costa Rica's first accessible tourism law, Stephanie's innovative work ensures enriching travel experiences for all. So welcome, Stephanie. Next up, we've got the amazing Sarah Gresty from Central St Martins, who I've heard an awful lot about. BA Fashion Course Leader at Central St Martins, and I know Sam works closely with them as well. Began her career in Paris designing knitwear for renowned brands like Kenzo and Chanel. With a background in fashion, textile design, and years of industry expertise, she has led the BA Fashion Knit pathway and now inspires the next generations of designers at Central St Martin's. So thank you for being here. And last but not least, we've got Suzanne Edwards from Airbnb, Accessibility Standards Lead. Suzanne is the Accessibility Standards Lead at Airbnb, driving the company's vision for accessible travel and implementing strategies to improve inclusion. A full-time wheelchair user just like myself, so brilliant, bringing lived experience to the role. She's been in a chair since 2011 and is deeply passionate about making travel more accessible. Joining Airbnb in 2017 via the acquisition of accessible travel startup Accomable, she has led initiatives like the adaptive category and accessibility review process. Beyond her work, Suzanne is an advocate for disability inclusion, active in adaptive sports, and a member of the English adaptive surf team, achieving 4th place at the World Surf Championships. So welcome, thank you for being here. So together, we're going to explore innovations, adaptive solutions, and ways to make travel more inclusive and empowering for all. I'm Louise Hunt Skelley. I thought I'd save my introduction to last because these guys are pretty impressive. I mentioned earlier, this is a topic I'm incredibly passionate about, but as someone who's travelled the world as a wheelchair user, I've come across significant and multiple challenges, from things to not being treated fairly or respectfully, right up to wheelchairs not turning up when I've been the other side of the world, or simply broken in two. I've got a lot of life experience in this area. However, for me personally, I always say that travel and people are the best education you can ever have. So none of these barriers will ever stop me travelling, but I can't wait to explore ways to tidy them up a bit. I think that would be a great place to start. So I'm going to go into the questions for our panels now. So Jenny, I'm going to start with yourself. Heathrow is one of the busiest airports in the world. So what are some of the key innovations or services that Heathrow has implemented to make the travel experience smoother for disabled passengers?
So I think when I start to talk about this, it's important to look at all of the different areas where people might find challenges coming through the airport. So wheelchair users absolutely are key, and what most people think about in the industry as the challenges that individuals might have. But we've also, back in 2019, created a report called Open to All, which you can download from our website, which looks at the various percentage of passengers and the different needs that they have when they require support. We actually found that the greatest requirements came within cognitive requirements, and actually anxiety is one of the biggest barriers for passengers being able to travel. We also looked at psychological and cultural needs, and particularly when passengers are coming from different areas of the world, they may not know whether their cultural needs are met or even their gender needs are met. And so we look to put a lot of different things in place when you're coming through the airport, and I'm just going to mention just a few because I've only got 2 minutes. So one of the key things we have, and we've been promoting for other airports and industries to pick up, is the sunflower lanyard, a way to visibly show that you may have a hidden or invisible disability, so that you are understood as needing different things as you're travelling through. We provide sensory object packs, so if you're travelling through and you don't have a fidget toy like I'm holding now, or we have feeling cards in there, so you can indicate through the feeling cards what you might not be able to explain with words. We are just introducing priority lanes for our PRS, so our passengers requiring supports, which will go live across all of the terminals shortly. We have mandatory training for all of our frontline staff, and we're looking to roll this out for all of the other areas that you may come across within the airport, such as our retail outlets and other facilities. We have click and collect, so if you aren't able to get into some of the shops, you can actually use the click and collect digital service in order to purchase items and then collect them from a specific area. And we have the same for some of our retail, our food and beverage as well. So again, if you don't want to sort of join the queues or the throng, then you can use that service as well. We have changing places toilets in all of our terminals. We have sign live facilities. So again, if you are travelling and use sign language, we can use the sign live tool in order to help you be able to communicate. We have induction loops on most of our customer service desk and areas. We now are facilitating assistant dog relief areas in all of our terminals. So if you're travelling with an assistance dog, there is someone there to be relieved. That was very important. And we do training through the RNIB for dogs for the blind, so that dogs for the blind can be trained as to how they need to travel through the airport. And we're just introducing self-mobilisation wheelchairs. So if you don't need a chair permanently, but you could use a chair whilst you're travelling through the airport, through distances, you can use one of the self-mobilisation ones. And finally, our website is audited by AccessibleTravel to making sure that it's most accessible as possible.
Wow, I mean, that's, I think everyone, I can feel a sense in the room. I think we're all really blown away by that. You touched on some incredible points. Naturally, I'm very excited to hear about the self-propelling wheelchairs. That's an amazing step forward. But I think you hit on a really key topic around those invisible disabilities. I think it's quite often people naturally assume disability always means physical, visible. We see it straight away. But there's so much more to people than just that. But so many exciting things. I might just book a trip just to come check some of those out, actually. I don't know, to Costa Rica. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It's incredible. Amazing to hear. Stephanie, I'm going to come to yourself now. Costa Rica is renowned for its natural beauty. I'd like to know what inspires you to focus on creating accessible tourism experiences, and how do you ensure that disabled travellers can fully enjoy the country's offerings?
That's a very good question. Everyone asks why I started AccessibleTravel in Costa Rica, and it's basically the heart. It's people. I'm very sentimental, sorry.
I like that.
So that's why we started Accessible Tourism. We wanted people to really enjoy and be part of Costa Rica's sustainability, national parks, beaches, and really detox and enjoy what nature is all about, you know? So in 2012, we decided to switch our whole market and started analyzing Costa Rica in regards to accessibility. When we started, there was nothing. We had to invest in hotels, and vans, and tours, and equipment, and it took us 4 whole years to create a first itinerary that could be accessible for wheelchair users. So we started with the physical condition, because we believe that if we create an environment where wheelchairs, strollers, people with walkers can enjoy the same Costa Rica, then we can actually start putting in all of the sensory, cognitive, and other conditions, right? So, because it's a whole country and not just like an airport or just one area of the country that we're working on, we're actually creating a verification process for the country. We created the law. We have educational processes around with universities, because we're working not only in the tourism industry, we want the whole country to develop a Costa Rica for all. So that's how we have implemented this movement around the country, and it has been working. Right now we can show the same Costa Rica for people with or without disabilities. They can enjoy the same trip together, and you're all invited, and it will be my pleasure to show you the real Costa Rica that touches the heart, which is the most important.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can all feel your passion, which is why it's clearly such a great success. It's really interesting to hear how you're navigating through that too, to hear where you started and how you're adding those layers in. So just sounds incredible. So thanks so much for sharing. That's really interesting. Next, I'd love to come to Sarah. And how do you envision the future of adaptive fashion in the travel industry? And how can designers and brands contribute to creating more inclusive travel experiences?
So I think there's huge potential to transform the way people with disabilities or body differences experience and engage with transport. I envisage that adaptive fashion will merge with mainstream fashion more and more and more, which is exactly what we're doing at CSM and Sam's teaching with the students there. Designers and brands will develop innovative fabrics, so things like heat sensors in fabrics that don't necessarily need seams in or labels in, that can be produced already as a whole garment so they're more comfortable to wear. Things like, I mean, this is what I've researched, so possibly you know about it, but in airports there's going to be special hubs where people can adapt their clothing to put compression pads in them and things like that. So there's lots of innovations coming through. Designers will also need to think how pieces specifically work within security and that kind of thing, so it's easier to kind of go through an airport. And just looking at all the different things that I've written down, and as these innovations take hold, adaptive fashion will not only help make travel more accessible, but will also empower individuals to be able to travel more, exactly what you're saying.
That's, do you know, for me, I find that really exciting. I personally have struggled with this in the past, so I love clothes. I'll just ask my husband, it drives him mad. That's why our bank balance gets low every month. But I want to feel good in my clothes. I like to wear things that make me feel happy and trendy and feel good about myself. But I've always find that when I travel, I end up in the scruffiest. Yeah, so many guesses in the room. But the most kind of really plain. Like, I love pattern, I love colour, and I end up in really plain outfits, largely because they have to be stretchy. I've got off of long flights and I had all sorts. I looked at my body and just wanted to cry because I've had sores and dents and things from where I've not been able to feel, and seams and things like that. I've left sores and things like that. And so for me, it's really exciting because I feel like I deserve to feel comfortable and feel good about the way I look too.
That's really important you say that, because what I should reiterate or make sure you understand is we're not compromising style. So the students are understanding. Sam comes and does amazing lectures and explains them different possibilities or ways that would be, from her experience, that would be better for her when she's looking to buy amazing clothes as someone who loves dressing. And that's the thing, we're not compromising the vision or the style at all.
That makes me so happy to hear. That was really interesting actually to just feel in the room. There were so many we hear that. So very exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to following that. I'm going to move on to Suzanne now. We were having a chat earlier actually about you're from Airbnb, of course, and I had some great Airbnb experiences a few years back. My husband competed in the Tokyo Paralympics, and we got a lovely voucher, so thank you for that. We had a lovely few nights away. It was really wonderful. So very excited to have you here. And what we'd just love to know is how Airbnb support and encourage hosts to make their properties more accessible to travellers with disabilities. And are there any specific programmes or guidelines in place to help those hosts be more adaptive and inclusive?
Yes, great question. And I will personally take all the gratitude for your great trip.
Take it all.
So we have millions of hosts all around the world, and we work very closely with the host community to get them to identify and list accessibility features that they have in their home. I'm sure you're all aware, accessibility is not a one-size-fits-all. Everyone has very unique needs, especially when they travel. They have different sort of accessibility features they need, and they may vary depending on the trip. If you're going away for a couple of days, on a work trip, you may have some very specific accessibility requirements. If you're going away maybe with your family for a longer amount of time, for me, I'm happy to be bumped up a couple of steps if I'm with my sisters, but if I'm with work colleagues, I want to be very independent. So, everyone's accessibility needs are different, everyone's trips are different. So we really work with our hosts to get them to identify specific features they have in their home. So whether that is a step-free entrance, a grab bar in a bathroom, a shower seat, and we have a product flow that they go through where they are required to add a photo of any accessibility feature they have. So if they have a shower seat, we give them requirements for a photo of that shower seat, and then the photos that they submit are actually reviewed by a team of specialists at Airbnb, and then only added to their listing if they pass through our review, so that when, as a guest, we have 12 search filters. You can narrow down your search results by things like shower seat, step-free entrance, wide doorway, and the listings that come up. When you go into the listing page, you will then see those accessibility features, and you will see the photo associated with it that has passed review, so that you can see, like, great, that's a nice fixed shower seat in the shower, it's going to work for me, or maybe that's a smaller stool, and you're like, yeah, that's not quite going to work for me. So, we really want to make sure that guests feel confident and empowered to book somewhere that is really going to work for them. So that's the main thing we do. We also know that we need to get more hosts to understand accessibility. It isn't something that everyone knows about necessarily. So we've done some hosting campaigns. We notably did one in the UK with Sophie Morgan. In Paris, in France, we worked with a couple of para-athletes ahead of the Paris my list. We also have, last year we introduced something called the Airbnb Entrepreneurship Academy in partnership with United Spinal, who's one of our partners in the US. This is something for new hosts, and it's targeted at people within the disability community, and it's really sort of twofold. It's all about economic empowerment opportunities for disabled people, so introducing them to the idea of hosting and maybe listing their home on Airbnb. It is great income. I host my home on Airbnb. I have, as a result, been able to remodel my bathroom, and now I'm remodeling my kitchen. It's fantastic, and another great benefit is that I get to welcome other disabled people when I'm away to my home, share the place that I love, recommend accessible restaurants and things like that. So we have this academy in place to sort of introduce hosting. And then the final thing, and then I will move on, we also, ahead of Paris, we did a big supply initiative there, and we actually decided for hosts we wanted to make it really easy for them to identify and add accessibility features. So we did 3D scans in their homes, which is very easy for them because they just have to let someone in and then they do all the work.
Is that like when you're on, you so an estate agent advertise a home, and so online you can view it like you're walking through? Is that
yeah, so the guests can't see the actual walkthrough, but we take images from that walkthrough, and then we annotate on things like elevator dimensions, doorway widths, so that they can, I don't know if people have been to Paris, the elevators are tiny, and so, it's just to sort of get key information. So again, it just helps us increase our supply and makes it easier for hosts to know what accessibility features they have.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I have to say, I don't know how many people in the room or watching have used Airbnb, but I did find those features you mentioned earlier on, that you can select the things you need, super helpful, and actually easier than a lot of other websites I've been on for hotels and things. So those features definitely work. What you said, it's just about getting more hosts to really understand.
More supply. Always more supply.
Yeah, exactly. It's about getting them to, and a lot of it is, it makes me think about what you said earlier about, it's about people, isn't it? I think often people don't realise that some of the changes can be really small, but the impact can be so big.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of people don't realise that their homes possibly are fairly accessible to people. Like if people have got a bungalow or they're in an apartment and there's an elevator to get to the apartment, that's already, like somewhere being step-free is already incredibly useful. You don't have to convert your bathroom and put grab bars in, like that can be useful, but actually just a step-free home is so useful.
Exactly, and we're all different, right? So one size doesn't fit all, so it's just about being like, hey, this is what we've got, this is what we've not got, and then it's up to that individual to work out what works for them. So yeah, exciting stuff though to hear that that's being really pushed, some good movements happening there. Stephanie, I'm gonna come back to you. And this isn't me just asking for my own travel needs, I promise. But what are some of the most popular accessible destinations and activities in Costa Rica for disabled people, and what makes them unique? Asking for a friend.
Okay. So it's very diverse, as we have been talking. People are different, and so it's very diverse. But if we talk, for example, for physical disabilities or physical conditions, I can say Arenal is a number one. Arenal is on the north area. It's a volcano where you can do hot springs, you can do the hanging bridges, then you can head to Sarapiquí and do a whitewater rafting, or you can head to the beach and do a surfing lesson, or we can do a waterfall. So we have been accessibilizing Costa Rica. It doesn't mean that Costa Rica is accessible by itself, okay? It means that if you go with an expert, that expert will have the knowledge, the equipment, and the trained staff to actually take you on an accessible adventure. It also has to, you have to have that word in mind. It's an adventure, because it's not that you're gonna arrive and it's gonna be like UK. It's not gonna be like the US. You're going to Costa Rica to adventure yourself into the nature that it's not accessible by itself, right? So Arenal, Monteverde, Manuel Antonio, Guanacaste, all of those destinations that you can see on a normal guide, we have created an accessible activity and hotels that have the standards that we can guarantee that you're going to have a great time. And we have been working as well directly with Airbnb, doing training as well. So if you want to go to a house as well, we have been working directly with Airbnb to guarantee that we have accessibility in Costa Rica. So we have great plans for this year as well. So it's great that we're here together, that you can actually have both options, you know, in Costa Rica as well.
Stay at Airbnb
Yeah, you can stay on Airbnb. You
the
have the
platform.
credit.
Together.
You already have the
Sign me up for
credit.
all of it.
Yeah.
Heathrow,
Yeah.
most of the clothes.
Listen, you're sending me off, you're giving me the clothes, you're setting me up with the accommodation, and off we go. I've got it all right.
Yeah, off you go.
Don't worry, I'm ahead of the game. Can't wait. Can I just say, it really made me feel excited there though. So as someone that's an adrenaline junkie, I love adventure. Those are the trips I want to do so much. Like I've got that real passion to see something different and unique. I don't want to see something I can see here. But so often it's like, oh, it's completely accessible. No, we won't take your wheelchair. Oh, health and safety. Two of my least favourite words.
Also
So that,
expensive.
and yes, and expensive. They always come with additional costs. So that makes me feel very excited. So thank you so much for sharing. It's so cool to hear about all the different things.
In regards to payment or expensive,
She's trying to make money out of me.
so
now,
let me tell you that for us, it's the same price for you on a wheelchair to do a trip than you without a wheelchair doing a trip. So it's the same price if we do the same trip, with your private guide, your private van, the same hotels, the same tours, it's the same price. Because the idea is that this is actually Costa Rica for all, not only in regards to accessibility, but also on the pricing. There doesn't have to be an up price because of accessibility. It has to be the same.
That is so incredibly refreshing to hear. Amazing, I love it so much. And we just touched upon actually the link with Airbnb and you guys and what you're doing. Of course, Airbnb is global, it's all over the world. So Suzanne, I was just wondering if you've got any examples of innovative or inspiring adaptive homes that you've encountered, and what lessons can the travel industry learn from those?
Yeah, definitely. So
Apart from your house, of course.
Well, yeah, my house, North Devon, everyone. It's right by the beach. Yeah, so I do travel extensively, and I obviously spend a lot of time on the Airbnb app and website looking through different accessible homes. So we have a ton of different things. We have tree houses, we have castles, we have domes, and we actually have a collection called the adapted category of some of these inspiring homes all around the world. Where again we've done 3D scans of them to get doorway measurements, to get a floor plan of the home as well, which is one of my favourite things. I love a floor plan. So yeah, we have got some phenomenal places. We've got actually a lot of good places in Costa Rica, a lot of good places. And I think for me personally, I absolutely love that we have so much variety that allows people, when you have accessibility needs, to also find somewhere that is beautiful or that is unique or is quirky and it's in line with your taste. As wheelchair users, we don't want a sterile, boring place that maybe reminds us of hospital, or it's just a really, I know we were talking about boring hotel rooms. We want nice places to stay. Yes, we maybe want grab bars and shower seats as well, but that shouldn't therefore mean that you have to compromise on what you also want in line with your tastes. So I think that's one of the great things about Airbnb, is that we have all these different types of homes, all these different types of stays, and so I think that is what I hope for the travel industry in general, is that we can help raise the bar and show that accessible can also be beautiful, and it doesn't have to be sterile rooms with plastic grab bars. It can be things that are beautiful and in keeping with the style. So yeah, there are some phenomenal places on Airbnb.
It's what we were talking about not compromising style, right? And why should we? We don't need to.
Yeah, why should we?
No, exactly. And Jenny, I'm just curious actually, because we were just talking about that contrast around the world in terms of accommodations. But when we think about airports, obviously they're all over the world. We had that conversation earlier, and how it can vary so much, even within the same country, but especially around the world. I just wonder, is Heathrow working with other airports, airline companies, travel providers, just to help ensure that consistency and those accessibility standards?
Yes. I think it's really hard when you are working in an industry that is, as you say, across multiple cultures, multiple areas, many different parties playing their part. So not just the airports themselves or the airlines, but also the ground handlers, the catering outlets, all of the different things that go towards being travel. So we have representatives that attend various international forums, such as IATA conferences and ICAO conferences at the international standards of, and more accessibility is coming to the fore of these, and they have even their own settings now United Arab Emirates just hosted the first ever global accessibility conference that, again, ourselves and British Airways had representatives at. And then there are events such as a Passenger Terminal Expo, and we have shared our learning at that event on a number of occasions, so things that we've learned along the way, things that we're doing, sharing with other airlines and passenger and terminals, airports, in order that we can gain and learn from each other. One of the things that we did a couple of years ago is we worked with a university and created a dementia-friendly air travel guidance, which again we shared with ICAO and IATA, so that all of the air travel industry could have that learning. Internally, we have the Heathrow Accessibility Advisory Group, which is a group of lived experiences that we utilise to ensure that when we're making decisions, we're asking the disabled community to be able to feed into that, and that is not voluntary. That is a paid service. So we make sure that they are reimbursed for their time when they support us. We also work very closely with inclusive design consultants, so MIMA, Motion Spot, Bureau Happold, to make sure that we're not just utilising the standards themselves, but we're actually pushing the standards forward. And I belong to and I work with a number of cross-functional groups, including one within London, which includes Grosvenor and Crown Estates, which has just published last year the Inclusive Spaces and Places, which again you can search for and download, which has 5 commitments in it that Heathrow have signed up to, along with Grosvenor, Crown Estate and other of the large property retail consortiums. And Heathrow itself is just doing the second Inclusive Design Roundtable across industry, including Transport for London, National Highways, Network Rail, etc., who will have people come to that so that we again can share our experiences and start to create standards across the industry. And you're more than welcome to come as well if you'd like to.
Get a number at the end. Look them up. No, that's incredible. Do you know, it really excites me. 2 things is the employing people with lived experience, valuing their time, rewarding them appropriately, as it should be. But you know, those with lived experience, they've got the best knowledge. So that makes me really excited. But that joined up thinking, all those different partners coming together, that's how we're going to make change, right? One of my best friends always says to me, try and change your corner of the world, but touch base with others along the way. And that's what we're all doing, right? We're doing our thing, but going, hey, come be a part of this. And that sounds exactly like what you're doing.
And for me, it will only ever be an accessible journey if the journey is accessible door to door. So from the point you leave your house, to however you travel to the airport, to going through the airport, to flying with the airline, to travelling the other side, to staying somewhere, the whole of it has to be accessible, otherwise it's not accessible travel.
Yeah. Absolutely. Spot on.
That is.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting to hear. And Sarah, so we're talking about that door-to-door travel, and of course, if we're not leaving comfortably and appropriately, we're not going to do too well, are we? So we've obviously touched upon the fact that comfort, functionality, they're critical for disabled travellers.
Absolutely.
So how does adaptive clothing play a role in enabling independence and confidence during travel?
So I'm just going to go back a little bit both to what Suzanne was saying about not compromising on the grab bars and things like that, and also Jenny with lived experiences. So when we did the last design project at CSM with Sam was amazing and brought in some fabulous professional models, all with different disabilities and bodies. And the students were able to really talk and get to know those models and find out about their lived experiences, and therefore they were able to design specifically for each person. So for instance, someone with a stoma had to have clothing so they could access their stoma. An amputee needed to have clothing designed specifically for them. So everyone had a different specification, if you like. So it was really, really important as we move forward and look at how we're teaching the designers of tomorrow to understand different needs to be able to design adaptive clothing so that we can all wear the same clothing, but somehow they change. So the same pieces would be appropriate for me and appropriate for you. all about someone feeling comfortable, like they look, like we said last time, they look amazing and feel empowered. And also another thing that was really important is learning to, you know, there's things like, I'm sure you know, obviously one-handed zips and things like that. And so being able to dress yourself, being able to do things for yourself and not relying on other people and all those kind of things. So it's really important that the students understand about the possibilities of adaptive clothing, innovate, because that's what we want them to do as the designers of tomorrow, to show factories and manufacturers of new fabrics what's needed in order to make this happen, really.
Do you find the students are quite surprised by some adaptations that some people might need when they come in and have those sessions? Is it quite an eye-opening experience for them?
Honestly, this project with Sam, and Sam starts off with this incredible lecture, even explaining about the economy, the power of the purple pound, and it's something that the students and the staff had no idea about. And Sam talks about the fact that in the UK anyway, there's more clothing designed for dogs than there are for people with disabilities. And you know, it's such a powerful presentation, and the students learn a lot. And all of them have finished the project. These are second-year students, by saying that they're going to include adaptive clothing in everything they do in the future. So, you know, this is so important. Yeah.
It's an amazing project.
Yeah.
It's a really amazing project. Sam has told me so much about it, and it's just fantastic.
Well, you should come next year and see it.
Well, I'm adding that to my list of things I must do actually. So, but yeah, incredible, and thank you for sharing that, because again, it's exposing those students to different people thinking differently. That's again how we're going to change each of our little corners of the world, isn't it? So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. Really, really interesting. Stephanie, I'd like to know how Viaggio works with local communities and businesses to promote accessibility and inclusivity across the tourism industry.
Okay. 2 minutes?
Go.
All right. So Viaggio itself is a local grant operator, right? So from our operation, we're a sustainable company with the certifications, worldwide certification. And so that means that everything we do is with the locals. So if you go to Arenal, you're going to a local hotel that is owned by a family of Costa Rica, that you're going to do the hanging bridges, and it's on a private reserve of a Costa Rican, that you're going to do an organic farm with a cooking lesson, and it's with the family, with the owners, you know. So that way we're teaching each of these specific families how to accessibilize their products, and then they started talking and they started teaching as well around it. So for example, when we're doing as well the accessible beaches, we have a great project. We have launched 17 accessible beaches right now with pathways and amphibian chairs, all of them created from recycled plastic. That means that that beach, that area in specific, has that accessible pathway, and they start seeing people with disabilities arrive to the beach, you know, and my restaurant is not accessible. What I need to do to get that people into my restaurant, and then the hotel, and so it started creating all this movement just because we launched an accessible beach or because we accessibilize a hotel, you know. So that's how Viaggio has been creating accessibility around Costa Rica. But it's hard because we have to create new product every single day, create new product, because everyone is copying and selling what we create, and then you have to create new products so you can still be that pioneer, you know.
But it's positive, right? Because if you're having to keep being innovative and making change new things, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
So that's a really positive thing.
Exactly. And that's from the point of view of the business, but then we have the NGO. So the NGO has a verification process, education process, and information. So we have this whole country certification process where people learn, they teach each other, they certify each other, you know, and that's how it has been implemented since the very beginning. So it's not about us, it's about how we promote all of this. And I have been able to talk with the minister, and we have a certification in the ICT, which is the Institute of Tourism. The law itself is the first law on accessible tourism. So what we're trying is that sustainability in the social part, starts growing. Because as you mentioned in the first, Costa Rica is known because it's green, it's sustainability in nature, but what happens with the people, or who is being able to access that nature, right? So that's what we're working right now. We already have the nature, we have the economic impact, and now we're working on the social impact, so the country can be, again, innovative and being pioneers in sustainability.
Well, it sounds incredible. It's that joined up thinking again, though, isn't it? It's bringing all those different elements together. So it just sounds incredible. And Suzanne, beyond accessible accommodations, how does Airbnb work with local communities and partners to ensure that travellers with disabilities can enjoy inclusive experiences during their stay? So things like Stephanie's doing over here.
Well, very handy that she was here, and we have done some work with Costa Rica to think about accessibility beyond just the accommodations and sort of what else that we can do there. So, you know, accommodation obviously is a huge focus for us. It is sort of our bread and butter, and I think, you know, the last few years we have worked really hard on sort of building this solid foundation with accessibility review, with getting more supply, that kind of thing. We do work with a number of partners, I was going to say non-profits, that's an American term, charities and organisations, sort of disability experts, and then our hosts and guests to understand where we can do more, ways that we can improve our product and our offering. So we do have a lot that we sort of do elsewhere. There's also some other stuff we're working on we can't share at the moment, but I'll just say stay tuned, because we do have some more exciting things coming soon. I will get fired if I talk about.
I was going to say, do we hear it here first? But I'm not sure we did. But do let us know, yeah, when you're allowed to talk about it and you're not going to lose your job. Amazing. And last but not least, Jenny, what future improvements and technologies is Heathrow considering to further enhance accessibility for disabled travellers? And of course, like Suzanne, only share what's not going to get you fired. As we talk about the future.
You did say I had ADHD in the beginning, didn't you? My impulse
I
control
did.
is really cool. So I'm really excited because we have just completed a massive barrier research with over 300 passengers travelling through the airport with requiring support who've been interviewed and spoken to about which barriers they've had when travelling. So we've got some really good research and outcomes, understanding where actually are the barriers. So instead of trying to guess and change the bits that we think are the problems, we've actually got the voice of the customer to help us do this. A lot of the findings are in and around the digital space, because actually most of us carry around our brain in our phone, and actually the more we can provide in terms of digital content, the better it is. So currently, if you download the Heathrow app, there's a lot of information in there that you don't even know you can access, including maps, the shops, the click and collect, all of that's on there. I set it up because I really like to go to New York soon, to look as if I was going on a flight to New York today, and it's telling me where my gate is by the app on the start of the phone. So one of the biggest things I have with ADHD is I am always paranoid I'm going to miss my flight. And so actually my phone, rather than trying to find a screen to tell me where that flight is, I can sit down, I can relax, and the thing and my phone in front of me is going to tell me where I need to be and what I need to do. Also, if you're deaf, the same thing. You're not having to listen to the announcements. The information will come to your phone. But we're looking to improve these massively. Provide more pre-travel information, including 3D tours, so that if you are nervous and you want to know what it's like to go through the terminals, you can start to see some of that information beforehand. Also, if you go onto the app or onto the website, there is the ability to give us feedback. So you do have to search for it to find the page, but please persevere, find it, and provide us that feedback. So if there's something worked well or didn't work well, or something you've seen somewhere else, provide us that feedback on there. We're looking to improve the wayfinding. It's one of the biggest bugbears of most people who travel through the airport, is that feeling of being lost. So we're potentially working with a couple of, and I can't say these bits, companies out there to look at different providers out there that can provide us better wayfinding for different ones. And our innovation team is always trialling different and new things. So again, we're hopefully going to be able to launch a few really quite exciting things in the near future. But
like to reiterate actually is feedback. The value of feedback is so powerful, and it was really, you said something to me before the panel discussion actually that's quite refreshing. You were like, I want to hear it even if it's bad. Like, I am all for sharing the good. I think we should always feedback and go, hey, this worked really well, because you can learn from that just as much as the things that don't work. But do feedback. Any experiences, that's how we're going to make a change.
Same at everything. Always, I love feedback.
There you go.
Feedback is more useful than good feedback.
Yeah.
I totally agree. You've got leading industry experts here saying, please tell us. But I think that's one of those strides that we can all feed into to make that long-term change. I can't believe we've come to the end of our panel discussion. I've absolutely loved it. It's been so insightful. I just want to do a thank you to these wonderful people one more time. So Jenny from Heathrow for showcasing the advancements in accessible travel, Suzanne from Airbnb, incredible insights on adaptive accommodations, Stephanie for helping me plan my next holiday, for highlighting those amazing things that we can all do in Costa Rica, and clearly being an industry expert as well, which is incredible, and Sarah for giving me a new wardrobe, and for your incredible innovative perspectives on adaptive clothing and its importance for travellers but us as people. Thank you for understanding that, from my point of view, thank you for understanding that I shouldn't have to compromise on style. I really appreciate that. So can we have a round of applause for our panellists, please? All of your insights have just been so incredibly empowering, insightful. Thank you so much for your time, your passion, your dedication to breaking barriers and helping push towards a more inclusive world. But it doesn't end tonight here, guys. Looking ahead, we're excited to announce there's a Future of Fashion show happening on the 22nd of February. So pop that in your diaries now. It's going to be here, same venue. Don't miss it, and the tickets for that will be out really soon. Additionally, the next Inclusive Circle event is on the 12th of March. On that occasion, the focus and the theme will be around health and well-being. More details about panellists will come soon, so keep an eye out on all the social media channels for that information, and you'll hear about that really soon as well, so come back. And again, I'd like to thank all of our incredible sponsors, Open Style Lab, Talita Gallo, Enable Rise, Kindred, TR VLR UK, Marida Ross, and our amazing supporters too, Path to Success, Console General of Brazil, Blue Badge Style, Singer Games, Marcelo, legendary photographer again. If it wasn't for you guys, these things wouldn't happen. So thank you so much, and of course, if you're interested in being a supporter, do get in touch. But a round of applause for those amazing people. And of course, lastly, to our amazing audience, the ones in the room, the ones online, thank you all so much. You know, these things don't happen without you. Together we can... Together we can continue to challenge limits and create meaningful change. So let's take the ideas forward today that we've heard about, share ideas, but let's turn them into actions. That's how we're going to make change. Thank you all so much, and we really look forward to seeing you at more up and coming events very soon. Thank you, guys.
I'm done. Yeah.